Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we found something from right in our own backyards. What are we talking about? Well, the Field Museum, Chicago's predominant museum of historical curiosities and artifacts, had a sword that they presumed was a Bronze Age replica sword.
Yeah.
However, it was not all that they thought.
Right. Yeah. So the sword in question comes to the Field Museum from the banks of the Danube River in Budapest. It was fished from the river by some Hungarian archaeologists in the 1930s. Um, and it was eventually placed in the Field Museum, where it was regarded by museum staff to be a replica sword.
A well made replica, and they acquired the sword from the Hungary National Museum.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, and they believe that the sword was tossed in the water to lost loved ones or was potentially used in a battle. To these kinds of things, these are questions that they can't really fully answer.
Now, you might be wondering the first key thing here to wonder is archaeologists excavated the sword. How is it that the museum thinks that the sword is not, in fact, real when the archaeologists excavated it? It went through a whole nother museum before being transported here and labeled fake. Well, the simple fact is, whoever was putting the labels on the boxes got them mixed up and put a replica label on the box containing the sword, indicating that the museum had received a replica of the sword and not the original. Um, so this is entirely on the shipping crew, which you just gotta love with exchange of artifacts. Just one little thing goes wrong and all the paperwork's out the window.
Well, and that's part of the issue is that, well, my dog's bark.
Yeah, we don't hear it.
No.
We do
Um,
not hear it. We just hear
Okay,
you.
good. I'm gonna lower myself just to be sure. But one of the interesting things about this is they not only did it get mixed up and mislabeled at some point, but then they talk about how they authenticated it and how they noticed it, and it's because a Hungarian archaeologist came to the Field Museum to do research and to study with the sword. And after spending quite some time with it, which is kind of an interesting way to say he was researching it, he spent some time with the sword. He started thinking that, or they started thinking that it was
Yeah.
potentially real, and they confirmed it in one of the most absurd ways they've described it. But they say use an X-ray gun.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Our archaeologists are now apparently 1950s space villains with our X-ray gun.
I will see what you have beneath those clothings.
Yep. Yeah. So the Hungarian archaeologist was in the Field Museum to help set up and design a upcoming exhibit called the First Kings of Europe, which would have featured art and artifacts from his museum, I believe. And while he was there, he saw the sword and went, "That that does not look like a fake." And he proved it wasn't. It's just fun. This is why you talk to other museums. This is why you talk to other professionals constantly.
Caleb, you got an
Also,
idea?
yeah, also, how often are you going to a museum, like, with the intent of, I want to see real stuff, and then you just go there and it's like, oh, well, it's a bunch of replicas. Like, how often is this a thing? Because I want to see the real deal, so I'm glad that
Um,
they figured it
do you
out.
do you want the honest answer or do you want the sweet baby answer?
You know what? Don't ruin it for me. There are so many things that, like, just bring me whimsy and joy that this is one of the last ones, so just let me live in ignorance.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we are not going to talk about it. However, we will say that some artifacts, usually on the basis of material, are too sensitive to things like light to be allowed to be displayed in even a museum setting, and thus copies of them are made for the purposes of allowing uh, the public to see parts of history that are quite simply so delicate they could be destroyed by light or air.
And there's the real answer: is a lot of items are put into climate
I'm
controlled
not
rooms and light
I,
controlled.
I'm not saying how much or what, but just on occasion there are artifacts. Particularly any paper artifacts you might see in a museum are typically not the original paper.
Paper, clothing, textile, anything that could have an organic or origin tend to be more susceptible. Rocks
Yes.
and stuff
Uh,
like
yeah.
arrowhead's not a problem.
Yeah.
But going back to the
Stone and
article,
metal usually.
yeah,
Stone and metal usually you're seeing something. Usually it's not going to need to be replaced for the sake of preserving it.
one of the
Uh,
things that I think is really cool about this article, though, and I'm going to switch to the other one just to show off more of it. Um, One, you could see the sword in question here. It is actually a very beautiful sword. It is very ornate. It's in good condition for how old they think it is, which is 3,000 years old. But the cool thing about this is what they did, and this is the picture I wanted to show, which is them using the X-ray gun. But it's not quite. It is an X-ray gun, but it's not like what you would think it's sci-fi. What it is it's called a portable XRF machine, PXRF, and what the XRF stands for is portable um,
X-ray.
X-ray radio fluorescence. Thank you. I got caught up there, but you helped me through it. It's X-ray
Yep.
fluorescence.
Yeah, it's like crap. What begins with X?
Yeah,
Xylophone. It's a xylophone radio fluorescence.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. It takes me a minute to get the old brain chugging, but it's portable X-ray fluorescence. And what it does is it shoots X-rays at the item at specific wavelengths. And what happens is the material actually reacts to the X-rays depending on the wave size and the elements that comprise the material. So to break it down,
It also lets you do a price check at Walmart.
$42.99. But what they do is they shoot it at this thing, and what they were looking for with this one in particular, if it is Bronze Age, it contains copper and tin. And you can usually tell where an item was forged and where it was created based off of that chemical signature, because not everyone gets it right. Some people
Yeah, it's different mixtures, and it's also between the copper and tin, how much copper, how much tin. Also, copper from one mountain will have other trace elements in it that a copper from another mountain won't.
That is essentially one of the episodes of the BBC Sherlock, where he's like, "Oh, this guy was here because he had this type of mud on his boots, and it's only found in one district." That's great.
It's the same trace forensics that is used to catch murderers. Is the same thing that is used to like identify exactly which forge made which object using which mines. We can literally trace that out for thousands and thousands of years back.
Shout out to my undergrad advisor, because she did the most of her research studying Indian trade beads and using techniques like this with these people at the Field Museum, where she did most of her research, was able to see which forges in Europe created which glass beads because of that chemical compound. And it's kind of cool because you could tell, hey, all of these beads found in this region of the world are all found to be made from the same place. So you could tell that this got traded and disseminated. It's absolutely fascinating. I could go on about it for a long time, but there's a lot of science-y bits of this that even I don't understand the best.
Yes. And one of the things too is with the origins of this sword too. Now that we know it is real, and given how it was found, it is believed that the sword would have been ritually disposed of in the river, presumably after a battle. This was a tradition to remember a fallen loved one, possibly its original wielder. Dies in battle, his sword is taken and tossed in the river to, as a sort of, funeral ceremony.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to get any further into it because, unfortunately, I am not an expert in prehistoric Hungarians.
No, but we should definitely go there for for an in-person video and talk about it. But yeah.
The exhibit featuring this artifact will be live in March of 2023.
Oh, even better. Let's do it. We're gonna go on a field trip, everyone.
Field trip, boys. All right.
But yeah, I think that's kind of a good place we can wrap up here because it's a very interesting topic. It shows that not everything is quite what it seems. It shows that people make mistakes, and then it also shows this hidden history that is honestly so cool, and there's so much you can find and learn. But on that Turbo Bombshell, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a like down below. If there's a topic you'd like to see us cover, drop a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks for watching.